Welcome again to English Focus program. Today our meeting with writing section, the last section in Ielts with me. Of course, writing has two tasks. There are two tasks in the test. Both tasks will require formal writing style. Sometimes they say not very formal and so on, but to be safe. Okay, task 1 you will have to describe a graph, table, chart, or diagram and summarize the information in your own words. Some people might think this is easy, but you have to know the technique, so it will be easy. You have 20 minutes to write at least 150 words. Task 2, on the other hand, you write an essay in response to a point of view, argument, or problem. So this is a normal essay. You have 40 minutes, so you have more time, and you write at least 250 words. And of course, these will have more marks than the first one. Now, you need to know the assessment criteria. You have first of all to achieve the task. That means for task 1, for example, when he says you summarize, you paraphrase, you compare, so you have to achieve all whatever mentioned in the question. And of course it has there has to be relevant ideas. So in task 2, for example, if you are asked to write about population, don't write about how people are different in their taste, for example. So it has to be relevant and it has to be well organized. The vocabulary, of course, is very important. You have to vary your vocabulary. If you get difficult words that you can use, that will be good. Grammatical range and accuracy, of course, you have to take care of your grammar. Everything is okay. So back to task 1. The instructions for task 1 questions are, for example, summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. This is very important for you to analyze. The key instructions is summarize. So you are asked to summarize, not just report what you see in front of you. You are asked to select, okay, by selecting. So you are asked to select. So you will not talk about everything, because if you talk about all the details in the graph, for example, that will take a long time and more than 150 words, and it will be boring. Okay, so yes, you will report and you will make comparisons, but you will not mention everything. It asks for the main features, not all features, and this is very important. So the first sentence should paraphrase the description mentioned in the task. Your first sentence should paraphrase, and paraphrase means you will have to change the words a little bit. Use your own words, okay? Don't just copy it. I'll give you an example here. So if the question is, the graph below shows the proportion of 4 different materials that were recycled, so now you can change a little bit. So you can say the line graph, now you added something, shows the recycling. Okay, so instead of were recycled, you use the recycling rates for different materials over a 16-year period. Instead of 1982 to 2010, you said 16-year period. So you have to change the words, okay, so that you are paraphrasing, not just copying. So this will be your first sentence. You'll make use of the question. Oh, so you have to be careful that there is something called introduction and overview. Yes, don't worry, we'll explain. The difference is the introduction simply states what the data is about. Okay, you have a graph about materials to be recycled, so you'll mention that. The overview is a little bit different. The overview consists of one or two sentences, not just one. It summarizes the most important features, so you have to read and observe the graph or whatever you have in front of you, and then write 2 sentences or 3 about the most important features of the graph, for example. Here are different diagrams that you might face. Okay, pie chart, the diagram, line graph. Okay, the easiest way most of us will go to, if you are asked to describe anything, you will say there are, there is, there are, and of course this is very boring. Okay, so you have to have variety. For example, you can say one can see so and so. It is obvious that the graph tells us, for example, clearly we can notice, and you mentioned the comparison. The diagram, for example, shows or illustrates or represents, etc. So you have to use variety of expressions, not just there is, there are. Done. And remember, you are not asked to analyze the data, interpret it, or explain it. You are not asked to tell the reason why this is higher here or why this is lower there. This is not your task. You should only report on the facts on the page or screen in front of you. Nothing more. Don't be tempted and just put your opinion. So make sure you write enough. You have to write at least 150 words. Now, how can I do it? How can I count the words? If you are using the computer assembly, of course you can highlight and see the words there. If you are writing on paper, so you can just count the words on one line. For example, you wrote 7 or 8. Okay, so you can assume that the average of your writing in one line is like 7. Okay, so you can multiply 7 by the number of lines you have. For example, if you wrote 10 lines, that means you wrote only 70 words. Okay, so you need to write more. Okay, this is one of the ways, and it's easier to stick to one tense, so stick to the present if you are describing something. Okay, here is a sample, and it is from IeltsExam.net. Show you a table, as you can read here. You need to summarize the information. This is the question. Okay, you have here percentage of women in senior management positions. Of course, you can pause the video and have a look. And then this is a model answer for analyzing the graph for task 1. Also, you can stop or pause and read it carefully. As you see there, down there, it is like 221 words. So if you write 150, I said at least. If you write more, it's okay. Now, task 2. Task 2 would be very, very easy for you if you are trained to write an essay. So what's the difference between 1 and 2? We said here, task 2, the word limit is 250. The time is more, 40 minutes. So please don't waste time in task 1, like you spend like 25 minutes in task 1, because this will take from the time of task 2. So you try to make a balance. And the marks here, of course, are more. The task here is writing your own ideas. Okay, there's a question, but you have the right to express your opinion. You are assessed on your ability to produce a clear, relevant, well-organized response. Okay, so you have to bear this in mind. It has to be clear. Okay, relevant. That means you are sticking to the main topic. Okay, and well organized. Well organized comes when you make like an outline in the beginning. You'll say, for example, to yourself, in the introduction I'll say that, okay, just ideas. In the first paragraph of the body I will talk about this idea, and in the second one I'll talk about this idea, and then in conclusion I will mention that and that, like this. You have to, your idea of course has to be supported by solid arguments, evidence, and examples. Okay, these will be in the body, of course. You have to support your ideas by evidence, by examples. The vocabulary, of course, as we said before, you have to be clear in your vocabulary. If you can add a higher vocabulary or a little bit difficult ones, okay, but they have to be in the context, because some people just memorize words and they know the equivalent in their language, but they don't use it accurately in the sentence. So better when you study words, you take them from a dictionary and you see the examples, okay, so that you know how to use them, in what way to use them, and of course accurate grammar. Okay, here there's like a comparison between the bands. Okay, for example, if you got 7, they call it band 7. That means you got 7 out of 9, or 6 or 5. Okay, so here let's compare quickly. We'll compare mainly between 7 and 5. So the one who will get 7, he addresses all parts of the task. Okay, so you'll go step by step with the task: report, summarize, compare, like that. But if someone addresses the task only partially, he will get 5. Okay, you extends and supports main ideas. But if you are not always clear, if there is no conclusions drawn, if you present some main ideas but are limited, so you'll get 5. Okay, so you can go on and compare between 7 and 5 to make sure that you fulfill all the requirements of 7 at least. Hopefully you'll get more. Okay, so what do I need to do? What do I need to do to improve my writing skill? So of course you have to practice writing. So by error correction, of course you will improve. Improve sentence structure. After you finish writing, try to think, how can I improve this sentence? You may need the help of a good teacher to do so, of course. Okay, especially in writing, you need someone to read what you wrote and then tells you, okay, you here can replace this word with that, and here you can add a comma, you change the structure. So in the beginning, of course, you need a good teacher to do so. Divide the essay into introduction, body, and conclusion. And the introduction, you will not mention details in the introduction, you mention details in the body. The conclusion is like summarizing what you said, but don't make it identical to the introduction. As I said before, outline before writing. A lot of people don't do this, but it will affect your organization if you didn't do. Increase your vocabulary. You have to read more. If you read more, you can write better. Memorize some advanced patterns you can use generally. Okay, there are some quotes you can find online that you can use whenever it is useful or suitable. Also, the more you read, the more you will find some patterns which you will like express a lot of meaning in very few words, so you can take these and study them and use them later on. So leave enough time for editing at the end. If you don't edit yourself, someone else will do and take marks from you. Okay, so time to practice. Okay, because this is a focus program, quickly. So I'll tell you about websites providing IELTS practice tests. IELTS online test. Take IELTS. So all of this list is yours. Okay. Now last and final thing to say, practice like a champion. If you want to get high marks, okay, you have to practice. You have to act like a champion. Okay, a champion like, for example, Michael Jordan did not wake up and found himself a champion. He worked hard, he sacrificed things, okay, he had patience until he reached his goal. So my advice, you do so.